right. Now, Michael Kroger, I want to talk about these two idiots in South Australia, right? Premier Marshmallow, who got roasted with his own sort of the playbook, right? You've seen the Chairman Dan playbook. You've seen the coronavirus playbook. Well, the Chief Health Officer, who should have known better because she's the medical person, right? She fell for the special Radelaide strain of the virus. What is she saying today about it? Have a look.
We didn't sit on our hands. We got on and mobilised not only our own contact tracers, but we mobilised interstate contact tracers as well, because we really had to go fast. And of course, as you're all aware, our initial information was that this was somebody getting a pizza, and that meant that there were lots of other people in Adelaide who will have got pizzas from that pizza bar, and there was a long infectious time, about 10 days, that we were concerned about.
Yeah, because nobody's ever lost their job over this, either incompetence or stupidity. They'll end up going up in the polls, Michael. As they say, Trump was post-truth, COVID is post-logic.
You know, in the modern world, Paul, governments do really well when they scare the living daylights out of people, when the Armageddon's coming, when you need government, therefore, to protect you against imminent global warming, the rising of the seas, the massive increase in temperatures, or viruses which is going to infect and kill everybody. I mean, governments are basically, doing best electorally when people need to rely on them more than they have in the past. This whole notion of getting, governments out of people's lives is not something these people want. These people want you to rely on them, and so South Australia has this ridiculous close down. I'm sorry to say it was a ridiculous proposition to close this down over one incident. But you're seeing this around the world, aren't you? Sort of governments, making people feel uncertain about their lives and their immediate future, and therefore you must rely on more on my government and my re-election in order to save you from the imminent, disasters which are about to befall you. And in a micro way, what happened in South Australia is another example of that.
Well, and again, something, Senator, that frustrates me through all of this, and I'm having plenty of people blowing up at me about this, but I'm sorry, I've just got to say it as it is, right? Which is, people's attitude seems to be, if it wasn't my family member that was affected, then how good is this? All right? Like, if it's not my family that's stuck on the plane and can't come back, well, bugger it, we're all right. If it's not my kid that loses the job or I lose the job, then fine. If my kids live in the other state, well, then bugger them for a few months. And, there's a horrific story out of Melbourne about a poor little sick kid who should have been going back to Queensland, but didn't because of all of the silly rules and ended up dying. But again, this has been settled. Very clearly, electorally, it has been settled. But I don't care how popular this is. We will look back on this as a moment of delusion.
Here.
I agree with you, Paul. And my party lost an election 3 weeks ago because we wanted common sense and we wanted some form of consistency when it came to dealing with this issue. But you know what happened? On polling day, Labor Party volunteers and the union thugs, they were handing out how to vote cards saying, vote for the Premier, she's kept you safe. Vote for the Premier, she's going to keep you safe. And look, we lost, they won, I've got to suck it up, no time for a pity party. But it's what Michael said, it's that the governments have used this as an electoral issue to scare people. And we saw that. Classic example in Queensland 3 weeks ago.
But also, Liz, is it true that we have to, I'm fighting from a position of principles, but clearly the reality of where the mob is, where the Quiet Australian is, where the vast majority of people are, is I don't own a business, I work for a business, so, it's the boss's problem, not mine.
Yeah, actually, more than that, I've just been absolutely struck by the reaction of everyday Australians. I mean, I was watching a Pop Fox just the other day of someone walking around with a microphone in Adelaide saying, what do you think of the lockdown? What do you think of the lockdown?
I love it. It's great. It's amazing. I've got my mask on.
And people,
it's just great. It's really good.
People just seem to roll over. I've been utterly astounded. They say fear is the currency of control. It's working. Nobody seemed to say, I think it's utterly outlandish that people can't currently leave their houses and take a dog for for a walk. Why is no one saying, if at this point, we've lived with this thing for over 6 months, we've been watching Victoria as a nation, the dumpster fire of the nation, bring us all down. If you are any state government, if you are a premier worth your salt, you should be ready for this to unfold in your state. And what we saw in South Australia was absolutely nothing. They're saying, oh, we're so embarrassed. Turned out to be a lie. Even if it wasn't a lie, there shouldn't have been a shutdown.
As I said,
this is
Crossroads
ridiculous.
Hotel, they didn't even close the street. Can we replay the Daniel Andrews grab about Bunnings? Because I just want to get Michael Kroger's reaction to it. The Goldilocks logic, right? Which is, you know, in California, wear the mask, take it off, wear it at the restaurant, unless, of course, you're the governor. Take it off when you put the food in, then close, then put it up to chew, then pull it down. You know, real baby stuff. Here's the chairman today.
If you go to Bunnings and you're in the store, you wear your mask. If you're in the car park, you don't have to wear your mask. But if you're queuing up for a sausage and you're with other people and you are simply not keeping your distance, you're part of a crowd, you need to put the mask on. Carry the mask with you. Common sense drives this.
Michael, I thought that touching your face was part of the problem.
Well, mate, here's the problem. There's only one case of coronavirus in Victoria and that person's in quarantine. So how are you going to get the virus in Bunnings, mask or no mask, when no one in the Bunnings has the virus?
Correct. It's just the same as the Queensland thing. You can't drop your kids off for their first day at school. They don't have it. The kids at schoolies don't have it. You know, and this is a wonderful thing because we closed the borders early. We flushed it all out of the system, all right? There was one hell of a problem in Victoria, but we are back on top of it, okay? And seriously, they were in that National Cabinet every second week. Just say, hey, Gladys, how do you do it? Can you send all the plans? Because clearly people have been pretending shutting the borders is a plan. It ain't. It is just giving up. And don't reward them, but you will. I know you will at the next election in WA, but alas, it is what it is.